If back to normal means acting like there never was a coronavirus problem, I don't think that's going to happen until we do have a situation where you can completely protect the population. But when we say getting back to normal, we mean something very different from what we're going through right now. Because right now we are in a very intense mitigation. When we get back to normal, we will go back gradually to the point where we can function as a society. But you're absolutely right. I mean, if you want to get to pre-coronavirus, you know, that might not ever happen in the sense of the fact that the threat is there. But I believe with the therapies that will be coming online and with the fact that I feel confident that over a period of time we will get a good vaccine, that we will never have to get back to where we are right back now. So if that means getting back to normal, then we'll get back to normal.
Dr. Anthony Fauci at the White House briefing yesterday when asked when Americans can expect things to get back to normal. That was the key question and the key answer from the briefing yesterday.
Yeah, you know, we've said it for a very long time. It all comes down to testing, testing, testing. Everybody is actually saying that it all comes down to testing. Not only so we can track the virus, so we can map the virus, so we can contain the virus, but also so Americans can go back to work, so they can go back to shopping, so they can go back to getting the economy going again and going back to their daily lives. But the testing's been terrible. And you know, these press conferences, I will repeat again, if you're not going to get any good information from them, and if the president's just going to ramble and yell at reporters, say things that aren't the truth, and yell at reporters when they ask important questions, which is what he does, then they shouldn't have the press conferences. I mean, you know, Joe Biden said about a month ago that if the president of the United States is giving bad information, misrepresenting facts, that actually is bad for the American people. It concerns the American people and makes the situation worse. Yeah. You can look at a Florida poll where Joe Biden is now ahead of Donald Trump by 6 points. Something like 56% of Americans say they don't believe what the president says, that they can't trust what he's saying about this pandemic. And Willie, more specifically, if you look at yesterday, the president lied, got very angry when he kept being asked about testing because, of course, the testing has been such a failure that a cynic might think that they don't want Americans to get tested because they don't want to know the full extent of how bad things are in the United States. But, you know, the president yelled yesterday saying it's not the federal government's job to do testing. That should be up to the states to do testing. Well, that's just a lie. It was the Trump administration who wouldn't take tests, wouldn't even take tests from the World Health Organization when they were putting out 250,000 tests early on. We refused. And the Trump administration failed so miserably in testing. The CDC failed so miserably in testing that finally, Willie, the FDA on February 29th just threw their arms up in the air, said to the CDC, it said a couple days before, if you were a private company, we would shut you down. But the FDA finally said on February 29th, after a month of just colossal blunders by the Trump administration, they said, OK, private companies can start testing now for the coronavirus. That was on February 29th, after we had wasted a couple of months already. So that's just one of the many lies that the president has. The Washington Post fact-checked another on the China travel ban. He said he was the first through the China travel ban. 38 other countries had done it the same time or before that. And Trump had so many exceptions on his. It was such a porous, quote, ban that 430,000 people came from China, including 40,000 after the ban. Trump's claim that he imposed the first China ban is a lie. 38 other countries did it before him or at the same time. And the U.S. actually had so many exceptions that passengers from China still flooded in after the ban. Again, this fact-checked 40,000 after the ban, a total of 430,000 since the coronavirus first broke out.
Yeah. Yeah, the president has hung his hat on instituting that ban as an expression of how seriously he took this early. Obviously, that's not true. We know, and we've cataloged all those. Every media outlet has. The president yesterday again talked about the raw number of tests, about 1.5 million tests in this country. That's better, of course, but remember, we were beginning from a standing start almost. So, of course, that's an improvement. But as a per capita number, it's still not great. And you ask any public health official, as you both know very well, the key to this whole thing is testing, 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 because we'll never know how big the problem is. We'll never know when we can send people back to work. We'll never know when schools can open again. We'll never know when you can go to a football game again unless we know who has coronavirus. And right now we don't know. And there's another piece of this, Joe, which is that we don't even know how many people have died from coronavirus. We see the numbers. They get more staggering every day. But there's a lot of reporting that people who have been told don't go into the emergency room unless you have trouble breathing. Some of those people who stay home die at home, and those haven't been registered as coronavirus deaths. So there is a big picture about this coronavirus that we don't really see yet, and only testing will get us there.
Yeah, and along with Joe, Willie, and
thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.